Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Paddle Pod, your weekly podcast covering professional paddle, presented by Hugo and Gons. We're on to episode 96, and as always, joined by my co-host Hugo here today. Hugo, it's great to have you on. How you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, Gons. But I think it's probably time to introduce the actual guest of today because I'm not important compared to him. And it's none other than Jose Jimenez. Hi, Jose. How's it going?
Hello, how are you? Hi, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining, Jose. Obviously, a huge pleasure and honor to have you on our channel. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Jose, apart from being a great guy, he's ranked within the top 50 players in the world. So massive congratulations. Gonz and I, who are very keen paddle players, wish that, well, we probably dream that someday we'd be ranked within the top 500,000 paddle players in the world. So
Uh,
congrats and thank you for joining.
Thank you, guys. I've seen your work, and I think it's really great for our work in Padel. And I think it's gonna be a very great interview.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jose. It's a pleasure to have you on. And maybe let's get started with the episode. And I think the first question, very simple, but at the same, sometimes it can also be quite hard. Just simply, Jose, could you let us know, who is Jose Jimenez?
It's kind of difficult now, but Jose Jimenez really is a kid from Granada's village, Alcudia de Guadix, 1,000 people village. So I think he's a normal guy with friends, also with obviously family, and with one of his passion, it would convert in a work, no, in a job. And also Jose Jimenez, I think, is a intensive person and very like obsessionate with his passion.
Interesting. I mean, I think both Gonz and I are very similar to you in that way. So, given that you mentioned that paddle is obviously one of your passions, when and how did you kind of get into the paddle world?
Well, I got in paddle when I was 8 years, more or less. So I knew about paddle with 7, but I was playing football. I choose paddle after with 8 years.
And Jose, let me ask a follow-up on that. Did you start playing paddle in your small town? Like, was there a paddle court, even though there's only 1,000 people living there, as you said?
Yes, it's very interesting, but the the mm, the boss of the camp of the football camp decide to put and build paddle courts instead tennis courts. So when I was seeing my dad playing, I choose on a free break in a break. Decide to get the paddle racket and to put with the ball on the wall, no? And I really love it. Why I choose paddle instead football is very interesting because I really choose paddle in the first time because there isn't any football player to construct the whole team. Sorry, the football team. So there isn't enough people, so we needed to change the sport compulsory, and I decided paddle. So I think life put paddle in my life, in my daily life, because destiny, really.
Interesting. I mean, I think you definitely made the right decision based on your performance and
I don't
well,
know. I don't know. I don't know, but there was only one sport on the village, and I decided to get to the final, to the end.
Nah, it certainly seems like it has paid off.
so what we wanted to ask you is maybe looking on and looking at the current season. How is it going? How do you feel it's going? And what are your objectives for this probably second half of the season that we're coming into?
Yes, my first part of the season is not being the way that I will decide, but that you have to adapt the time of your career. And this time I needed to change like 2 times of player, and now I'm playing with Teo Zapata. Uh, so our deals I think is high because Theo is around 50, 40 of the world. So it's not the same when you are playing and you are like the 30 couple when you are the 20, you know. So our objective, my personal objective is to end around 40, 40, 30, because I don't want to put a big expectative, but my expectative is on the daily life, like on my routines. And now I moved to Madrid with my coaches, with my routines, you know, because I think if you put a big expectative on on yourself, is when you become frustrating. It's not the thing is not living what you want. So I think you have to put on the routines on the daily life and the expectative down. It's my point, my point of view, you know. So okay, my objective is stay on the 40-30 in the world.
I mean, I think it's probably a very appropriate way to go about things. I mean, I think we've seen a lot of frustrated sports people across a number of different sports because they haven't actually managed to reach the position or the ranking that they expected to reach, and then potentially that harms them from a mental standpoint, and they lose a bit of their passion for the game, etc. As you say, I mean, I think it's a great approach, focusing on the day to day, and if you do the day to day as and how you want to do it, then hopefully that'll help you reach your objective, right?
One thing, because I forgot, sorry. I decide this kind of mentality, I decide to change, I think 2 months ago, 1 month ago, with this kind of change of the couples. So when I started with Theo, obviously in Madrid, you train with of the tops, no? For example, one day with Javi Garrido, another day with Dineno, another day we train with Tolito and Gonza. So when I on the match, my right deal, my right objective is to win every match. So when I decide to win every match, it's like only my full attention is now on this moment. So I think it's working. It's working on me. For example, it's not my. I don't want to be humble, no. But we won Tello Dineno on a training match because I put full my force, full my attention on to win them. I learning about that, and now I'm going to flip silver in Sevilla. So my first match is not easy. It's Miguel González and Adrián Marquez, two very good players. So my first objective on the tournament is to win this match. Only this, and go step by step.
No, it's
Sorry, yeah.
super.
Sorry,
No,
sorry.
no, no. Super insightful. I feel like Hugo and I are getting free lessons here. Next time when we go, like next time in my next training, I'm just gonna focus on the match of that training and not think about, I have a tournament next week. No, no, just focus on specifically, I want to win that match, that tournament.
100%, 100%, 100%.
And Jose, I wanted to ask you because I thought it was interesting that you were mentioning that maybe the start of the season hasn't gone as you expected, but you obviously were partnered, for example, with Rami Moyano, and I thought you had like quite a good, you had a couple of good tournaments. Obviously, the Qatar Major, I thought was like a standout for you. So just kind of interesting to hear why do you think maybe the season, from your point of view, hasn't gone as you expected, or maybe with Rami as well. Maybe what are the things that kind of went wrong there?
Well, I started really with Miguel Benitez, but we had 2 or 3 misunderstand things. So I decided to change because of that, because you have to understand 100% with your partner, because when you are on the paddle courts, the high pressure, the pressure is on the top. So you have to be comfortable on the tough moments, and I think we decided to change because it's gonna be difficult with the misunderstanding. Then Rami called me because he left with Andres Lancha, another guy, very good guy. And from my point of view, I have a very good illusion. I have a expectative with him, no, obviously. But it turns when I had one chance with Teo Zapata, because Ramiro is now on the 70, 80 on 80 top, and also Theo is on the 38. So now I started every tournament on the main draw. I think our expectative is higher. So I decided, because on my career you need to build in bridge and step by step. And I think it's one of the decisions that I needed to change.
I mean, I think
No, that
sorry, go
sorry,
on.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just jump in quickly. I actually think, yeah, the whole, I mean, what you were saying regarding the ranking is so important nowadays because, you know, based on what your pair ranking is, it depends on who you'll be, well, most likely face in the first round of the next tournament, etc. And I mean, we saw Teo talk about something very similar recently when he said he was having a great start to the season with Livac. He was, you know, playing super well. He'd beaten some of the top pairs, but, you know, if Dineno calls and Dineno has a much higher ranking, many more points, that helps you for the future tournaments, then you've got to think about that, right?
Imagine if on this ranking, on these tops, they are changing. Imagine our ranking, and also imagine the ranking down. It's crazy. It's crazy. But nowadays there is money, there is brands, and we have really pressure. It's professional pressure, but you have pressure. So
100%.
you need to adapt every day to your condition, partners, and situation. And from my point of view, I disagree with the changing, but you need to adapt the system, I think.
No, 100%. And sometimes these opportunities come by and then you don't take them, and then who knows, maybe they never come by again. So you have to kind of, as you say, adapt, I think. But maybe moving on, something that we thought was super interesting watching one of your matches, and actually it was the match in Qatar against Santiosa and Collado, which you ended up winning. It was a super close match, actually. It was super intense. I loved watching it. But something that was super interesting was actually in one of the changeovers with Rodri Ovide. He was giving you and Rami live insights into like the winners and kind of unforced errors of the other pair. And I think he was kind of saying like, I can't remember which one had the most winners or not, but he was saying, this one's having the most winner, go maybe try and play more to the other one. So I kind of just wanted to, because it was the first time really that we saw this, especially live. So I kind of wanted to ask you around stats in Padel. How important is it? Do you use it widely? So yeah, if you can give us some insight into that.
Okay, I think they are very interesting, the statistics. But I think always are interesting where if you can use on your advantage. I mean, because on my advantage, our objective is to doesn't get fails, and he was counting us the fails. So I think on this match, volleys are to put attention. Sorry. To put attention on the volleys, the objective was to put attention on the volleys, and also to put attention on the smash, because my smash is good, so I need to choose when is the moment to smash. Also the winners, it's similar. You have to decide when is the moment to make a winner, or when you can make a winner, because as you need to choose well if you want to fight against the top players. Because sometimes you get many fails, and as it's not good, because you think you are playing aggressive, but you have more errors than winners. So it's very important to have on your side one trainer that he said you, okay, Jose, you are making more fails than winners, so take care and try to keep the ball inside.
That's yeah. I mean, I think that's super interesting insight. I mean, I think Gonz and I have spoken a lot about all the statistics in paddle. Obviously, they were very readily available for fans via Paddle Intelligence. Now that seems to have disappeared. Unfortunately, it feels like they won't be sharing them with us anymore. They'll be sharing them with coaches and professionals, but not with us, which is a shame. But both Gonz and I, we're always really interested to read about the winners. And when we watch, Coello and Tapia against Galan, you see Coello's got like 28 winners and 7 unforced errors. It's just amazing to see. Yeah, just put into kind of numbers what you watch on TV, right? Probably my next question. Obviously, we spoke about Rodri Ovide just now. He's one of the most well-known coaches, one of the best regarded coaches on tour. Maybe could you tell us about one of the most valuable lessons or something that you've really liked that he's taught you so far?
It's difficult to choose one lection of Rodri, but the main lesson is that paddle really is easier than we try all the time. The top players are making many times easy things and boil the point of this way, on this way. Yeah, I think that's the real difference. That this is the main lesson that I give from Rodri. Also, the unforced error it becomes because you are playing more aggressive that you know because they are together, no, the lesson is together, and this is the principal, the main lesson of Rodri.
Interesting. I mean, I think that's
If
super
I have to
interesting
choose
to
one,
hear because
okay, if I have to choose one, sorry.
yeah, no, I'm sure it's very hard to choose one, but it's very interesting to hear because obviously Gonz and I play a bit of paddle. We've started playing like federated tournaments for the Federación Madrileña, etc. And I think sometimes it's good to understand what your level is and how much risk you can take on the shots you're playing. I mean, sometimes you
Yes,
should be reducing that risk because you're being too aggressive. And at the end of the day, the most important thing, or maybe one of the most important things, is putting the ball in. That's how you start winning points, right?
that's true. That's a big difference on the tough moments, important moments. That's the big difference.
I mean, it feels like we're getting another super valuable lesson for free here. So thank you very much, Jose. I'll make sure that for our next match is 100% focusing on that specific match and adapt and make sure that you don't take too many risks unnecessarily and just stay focused. So
We used
I'm
to
sure that's
sorry.
it's a winning
Yes,
formula.
yes. Yes. We used to train to train on the 60%. Every shot on the 60%. So it's not available smash. It's not available over the fence. So only 60%. And the points during around 2 minutes, and
Wow.
minutes and a half.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Every point, so it's very tough because your mind it's working all the time on the right decision because you cannot put force, and it's
Mm.
very good to train like this because on the important moments you don't need more force than the others. So I think that's the key.
Yeah. No, that's actually super insightful. So yeah, I mean, very, very, very interesting training method. So maybe we want to move on now to talk a bit about Premier Padel. I think this year has been quite a rocky start, and it has been obviously quite in the headlines, the whole situation with Premier Padel and the players. So, I mean, maybe could you like let us know a bit how the situation is currently with Premier Padel? How do you as players kind of feel about where the tour is going? And maybe potentially personally on your side, if you could share maybe one or two things that, they're doing well as a tour and maybe also things that you would change to improve.
Okay, right now it's not good the relationship because the players, the most important thing that maybe people doesn't know, players, we are not ordering money because we don't need money on the tour now. Okay,
Mm.
the most important thing is that we are ordering a rule book, rules, because this is
Mm.
a disaster, a kind of disaster, because you are going a tournament and you don't know the kind of the balls. You don't know if the courts are built. One tournament, the main draw is bigger than other. In one tournament, for example, now we are going to Paraguay, and in Asunción, we have one night less than normally. So every tournament is different, and for players, it's not good. We have to spend money because we invest on yourself, invest on tournaments to go and everything and to make a show, and we don't know, we don't know if one tournament is on Monday or the other one is Tuesday. So we are only are ordering a organization, a legal organization, and not to make a disaster. And also Premier Padel doesn't want to sign
It's
this rule book.
super insightful and obviously
Sorry?
it is crazy to hear that there's like different rules being applied and that there's no like standardization. And I think you mentioned a super important point that I want to highlight that you mentioned there, which is the fact that it's not about the money, which I think so many people probably think like it's about the money. And it's really, yeah, thank you for clearing that out for everyone. Obviously, that it's more about making sure that there's proper rules so you guys can, do your jobs, play the sport that you're passionate about. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate your sharing your thoughts there.
Yeah. Um, Maybe moving on to not many more questions left, Jose. So we don't want to take too much more of your time, but we just got a couple more questions that
No,
we
no,
want.
no worries. I lost the connection one moment, but now I return. I return. Sorry.
No problem, no problem. Yeah, as I say, we've only just got a few questions left, and thank you for that insight regarding Premier
No,
Padel.
no, no worries. No worries.
I mean, Danny Windle, who was one of our recent guests, spoke about his concerns regarding Premier Padel, and he was saying exactly that about the fact that some tournaments have more rounds than others, and the fact that they don't know the conditions that they're walking into. I mean, we've seen a lot of and read about a lot of players asking for kind of standardized conditions, and Paquito actually complaining recently in one of his recent matches, saying, "I can't believe I don't get to play on this court until the quarterfinals, or sorry, maybe it was the semifinals."
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I mean,
Semifinals,
yeah,
semifinals.
yeah. I mean, it's
Incredible.
it's amazing that wouldn't happen in any other sport. So I think that's something worrying that should be solved. But maybe I know we. But
Okay,
did
repeat
you
the
hear
question,
my last
please.
question?
No, no, no,
I'll repeat it.
no way, no way.
Okay. Now, all I said was there's a lot of talk now about pair changes. I know we spoke about pair changes at the start of the episode, and you obviously just teaming up with Del Zapata. A
Yeah.
lot of people or fans, even players, suggesting that pair changes should be regulated or limited. What do you think about the topic?
Okay. I think it's the topic that we are talking every year. But it's very difficult to put as so I agree with this, but I think it's very difficult to construct legal rules because, for
Hmm.
example, your partner has an injury, you need to change. Another thing, Mayan, you have a fight with your partners. He wasn't respectful with you. You need to change. It's very difficult because of that, you know. But maybe yes, you can put money to make a fine if you change, you know, if you decide to change, or maybe you can put limited changing. Maybe yes. I mean, for example, you can only change 3 times. If you change more, you have to pay a fine. For example, if you can show to organization that your partner wasn't respectful, or you have problems with him or something, also you can change it. But this is difficult because you need to trust on the other maybe it's not training same than you. Sometimes it's very difficult, you know. But yes, for sure it's good, perfect, no?
Yeah,
But I think it's very very difficult.
I think the point that you make about potentially limiting it to three changes a year is interesting. I think the only kind of counterpoint regarding having to pay for pair changes is obviously that's going to affect the lower ranked players more because obviously they're not going to be wanting to pay fines. Maybe the top players, the top players don't mind as
Yeah,
much, but players that are, lower ranked, that's a bigger financial investment for
proportion
them.
proportional fines.
Yep, that could be interesting. That could definitely be interesting. Yep.
If you become on of one top, you have one fine, and if you are on the down top, maybe you have another fine. I don't know really, but I think it's very difficult because, for example, in a football team, you are not comfortable with your partner, and maybe your partner is not on the next match because you have a 22 on the team. I think it's kind of difficult. I don't know in tennis in couples what that they do, but I think in every tournament you have creating couples. I don't know really. Sanjo told one time that you have to accept and see that padel is an individual sport which is playing in couples. That's the key, and I totally agree with that. Because, for example, now the interview is with me, and it's not with my partner. Also, for example, pool paddle is with me, and
Yeah.
the rackets brand is with my partner still, and they don't pay me. Obviously, pool paddles that doesn't pay my partner. So I think it's an individual sport which is playing.
Yeah. No, I think that's very wisely put. To me, this whole pair changing regulation, sometimes it feels like it's kind of the type of thing that outsiders that are not players or not in the tour think that it's easy and just kind of say bluntly. But if you're an actual player and you're in the tour, it's a different story, right? Because at the end of the day, you're also with your partner for so long. I don't know, maybe you see your partner more than you see your family. It's obviously if there's like a bad situation or like a moment of friction or something, it makes it so tough to then having to go on court, see that player every single day for hours and hours and hours. So yeah, it just feels like one of those things where, us fans, we say like, oh yeah, you can regulate it and stuff, but then you're not actually on the inside, so you don't know how tough it is. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I like the, maybe three changes a year or a limited amount a year. I think that could be interesting. But maybe moving on, kind of one of our last questions. I think one of the main topics as well in the paddle world currently is obviously the fight for the number one spot and how Chingotto and Galan are doing and, their potential future. We obviously had, very recent interviews from Galan and Jorge Martinez. I guess from an would love to hear, your insights as a player, potentially having played these players as well in the past. So how do you think that Chingotto and Galan, from your point of view, can reach the number one together? Do you think that they can challenge Coello and Tapia?
Very personal question. From my point of view, nowadays it's very difficult to they beat Coello Tapia because Coelho Tapia are lefty and right, and I think this is one of the keys. And the other key is I think they are now on a moment of the prime, no, of their career. So well, I think it's very difficult nowadays. I have one perspective, one point of view, and it's gonna be in a few years a big change of generation, and I think it's the only thing to beat, not to reach the top one. I think same in tennis. Same in tennis. The only one which can reach the top one to Djokovic. It's a change of generation. I think it's better gonna be the same.
And out of this
My
changing,
point of view.
yeah, no, super valid. Obviously, we're seeing so many youngsters come up in the rankings and so many new players. So just interesting to hear from your thoughts. Who do you think this change of generation might come from that you think can potentially reach the top? Like, which players would you say?
For example, last time Augsburger Cardona won them, and I think there are many young players that they have to get the potential, the prime. They are still working, no, to get it. But I think it's only time question.
Yeah, I mean, the only bad thing about that, in inverted commas, is that obviously Coello and Tapia are super young. So for someone to,
Yeah.
from a new generation to come in, it's going to be tough because Coello and Tapia are going to be young for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And that's saying young. I mean, even in 5, 6, 7 years, they're still going to be quite young. It's just they'll be more like Galan's age now, say. So yeah, it's
Yes,
going to be
but
tough.
I don't know. But I mean, it's not only for the age. It's also a question to get the same level. It's not about age. It's it's the way of playing paddle. The style of paddle.
Yeah, I mean, Gonz and I have
You
both
know, it,
spoken about
to co-
today's.
to co- to compare similar styles.
Right.
I think here is the question. No, here's the way.
So do you think that basically the players that will kind of overtake are potentially similar players in the sense that they'll have very similar traits, very offensive, instead of maybe what we've seen in the past, which is a more, classical backhand player that is very offensive, but then a very defensive right-sided player?
Yes, maybe yes. I think the whole game is around aggressive. So we need to see players playing in the every position aggressive. No, same that Coello and Tapia. For example, Galan, when you are watching him defending, you think that he's attacking too. I think this kind of game of styles, I think is the future to beat no the Coelho Tapia.
Yeah. Everyone out there, though, please do not try this at home. Don't attack whilst you're defending. You're not Jose Jimenez or you're not Ale Galan, so don't try this yet.
Nice. Well, Gons, I think we're probably done, right? I think we've shared all the questions we wanted to share with Jose.
Yeah, I think it's been a brilliant episode, Jose. I appreciate you joining us, obviously, in this morning and taking the time to speak with us. I think we had, as we mentioned, some very, free, valuable lessons, and everything that you shared was super interesting. You've got two fans here cheering you on, for the rest of your career, and I appreciate you coming on and speaking to us. Honestly, it's been amazing.
Thank you for the effort to make it possible and to respect my schedule. It's not easy. Well, from my point of view, it was great, and for sure I want to repeat.
Thanks again, Jose. Appreciate it. It was an honor. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.